At Boise State Public Radio, we understand that not everyone is able to give financially. Did you know there are other ways you can give? We are looking for new volunteers to add to our ranks and have a variety of opportunities.
Who wants to volunteer?
If you're interested in a hands-on volunteer experience, visit our website under the Support tab to find out more at boisestatepublicradio.org.
Thank you to all the staff and volunteers who are part of Boise State Public Radio.
You're listening to Idaho Matters. I'm Gemma Gaudette. Last year, the Boise Baroque Orchestra was devastated after the tragic passing of their artistic director, Robert Franz. They held a tribute concert for Robert this past January. Here's just a little bit from that tribute. This summer, the orchestra is regrouping and preparing for their summer festival, which opens Saturday under their interim director, Daniel Wiley. And they're also getting ready for their Baroque Institute as they start their international search for a permanent conductor. So joining us now, our interim artistic director, Daniel Wiley, concert master, Don Douthit-Wagster, and orchestra executive director, Logan Anderson. I want to thank all three of you for making time for us today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Gemma.
So, as I mentioned, you lost your incredible artistic director last year. Logan, how's the orchestra doing since Robert's passing?
Well, it's obviously been a really hard time. Robert has been an incredible presence, not only for Boise Baroque, but really for the entire Treasure Valley for years and years. And so it was very special for us to come together as a community and have this tribute to him back in January. The musicians and Daniels flew in just for this special occasion. And, all we can do is pay tribute to the wonderful man that he was and for the legacy that he left.
Daniel, I'm curious, how are you helping the orchestra heal and move forward?
Yeah, I think for me, Robert was really a musical father figure. And so I really am just trying to help embody his spirit as we move forward. But, we're nodding to him in this next season in that there are a couple of pieces and a couple of programs that are sort of an homage to him. Robert was an oboe player, and so we're going to have a world famous oboist come in and join us. And we're also going to be, one of our concerts is titled 1776, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But last year, as Robert wasn't here and he was going through his treatments, we had quite a few conversations about, what he was thinking about. He wanted to program for this season, and 1776 was kind of on his mind. And so we're still taking a bit of his legacy and still remembering him as we move forward. But as Logan had said, and probably Dawn can share as well, he's left a giant hole in all of our hearts, for sure.
Yeah. Dawn, can you talk a little bit about that? Because it really is like a regrouping when you lose someone so integral, right? To not just the program, but I think personally to all of you.
Oh, absolutely. He was my conductor for the Boise Philharmonic for 7 or 8 years before that. So I've known him at least 15, 16 years. I can't even tell you how many times this year something would happen or a piece of music would come up and I'd want to think about that as a program. And I went to text him and I'm like, oh, that's, this horrible feeling. You're like, I can't anymore. And he was just such an amazing man. And he was such an educator. So I love that we're going to continue with the education part and do the Institute with the students. And he's the one who started all of that. Everything we're doing is because Robert started it. Even the Baroque part, the Baroque bows that we're using. And we're just continuing with that because he was just and so intelligent and so lively.
Well, who decided, or I'm assuming maybe this was a collaborative idea to um, have a memorial concert for Robert. Can you walk us kind of through how that came about?
I'll jump in,
And
Logan, jump in and fill in as you can. But I think there was definitely a collective conversation about how this orchestra in particular could pay tribute to him. We for sure um, we couldn't do nothing, but we wanted to make sure that what we were doing fit in to Robert's contribution specifically to this organization, but also to
mm,
the community at large, and also communities outside of this community. I can tell you that he had a celebration of life in Canada. He had a celebration of life in North Carolina. There is going to be a celebration of life of sorts, or a remembrance concert for him in Alaska. I mean, there were a lot of communities that he touched, and so one of the big conversations that we had was when we could do this, because we knew we had to do something. There was no way that
mhm.
we could as a community collectively not find a way to celebrate his life together. And so we decided to do it in the early part of January. And yeah, I don't know, Logan, do you want to maybe fill in a little bit more?
Of course. Just like Daniel said, I think this was always something that we wanted to do, and I'd love to give a special acknowledgement to the Boise Baroque Orchestra Board of Directors, who are this amazing group of volunteers who are passionate and capable, and who care so deeply about the arts, and each of whom knew Robert and loved him, and so a concert in his honor was the most fitting tribute, and I don't know how we couldn't have done it. It seemed like the most natural thing to do for him.
Mhm. And I want to play a little bit of music from that memorial concert. So let's take a listen to that. So, Don, can you talk to us about your international search that you have for a permanent conductor?
A challenge. The first thing we talked about when we sat down as a group was when we're looking through these wonderful resumes, we have to put Robert out of our head because all of us want to
Mm,
compare, and there isn't one. So it was wonderful that we received so many resumes from across the U.S. and a couple from Europe actually. That we have the resume round, and then we'll do video. They did video submissions so that we could see their conducting style and also see their rehearsal style, because as an orchestra we want to know, do they actually know what they're doing, or is this person just get up there and they expect certain things. So that was
ah,
part of it, and then the interview round will be next, and finally the final round will be 4 candidates, and next year each candidate will get a concert. So a week of
oh,
rehearsals with us, 2 concerts with the audience, and so the audience will be able to give a chance to weigh in to see whether
hmm,
who they like.
that's quite the process. But I mean, I'm assuming, Don, you want to get this right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were so lucky to have found Robert, who was just absolutely amazing. And now we want another one who's going to stay for the long haul. We don't want somebody to come in for a year or two and they're like, oh, well, that was cute. Oh, let's go, to Boise, Idaho. Honestly, Boise's kind of small. I want somebody to help us grow and and continue with the education, because I think that is extremely important. The Treasure Valley has an amazing amount of student musicians, and I love that. And amateur groups around the state. We just have a very musical state. I love that.
Yeah. So I want to talk now about the summer festival and what you have in store. So Logan or Don, if you guys could kind of walk us through this, because I believe your program begins with a night in Spain.
Yes, and if I'll jump in here and I'm going to pass the baton, as it were, to Daniel to describe the programs, because he did such a wonderful job for us, in the fall when we were all sort of scrambling to figure out what it was we would do this summer. We asked Daniel if he'd be willing to come back again as interim artistic director and program some incredible concerts for us, and he did not disappoint. So Daniel, programming is one of the most important jobs a conductor does, and it's before they ever step foot on the podium. So I'd love it if Daniel would walk us through the 3 programs that he's prepared in addition to the Baroque Institute program.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Logan. And I can just say that, my goal as an interim director is to help shepherd the orchestra. And Don makes such an incredible point that, next season is going to be a really important milestone for the orchestra, but also for the community. So for those of you listening, the Boise Baroque should be on your radar this season and next season, because your voice is critical. You're a part of the orchestra. We're here for you. And so being a part of that process, when an orchestra finds a new conductor, is incredibly important. So if you've been sort of on the outskirts, maybe now is the time to get involved. So those are my 2 thoughts there. But the program will start with a night in Spain. And maybe we should just talk about the season in general. We've labeled it a musical passport, and the idea is that each of these concerts that we're presenting is going to take you somewhere new, a new location, or a new time period that It's a bit of escapism, shall we say? And I think all of us can agree, given the smoke that's happening right now, we could all use a little escapism. So the first concert is A Night in Spain, and it features 3 pieces. Boccherini's basically music from the streets of Madrid. And he wrote the piece to sort of emulate what it would be like to walk around the streets of Madrid at night. And so it's a very evocative piece of music. There's a lot of storytelling in between that will happen from me. The second piece comes from a much larger work called Europe Galante, and it's a collection of basically the larger piece is sort of like a tour de force of Europe. And I've excerpted the Spanish music from that. And so that'll be sort of our little vignette of Spanish music there. And then we'll end with Arriaga Symphony in D. And Arriaga is known as sort of the Mozart of Spain. And so it's Mozart sounding with a little bit of Spanish flair, which is fun. But I think the interesting thing, and maybe for the listeners, the interesting thing about this is that there'll be a thread. I'll be telling a narrative, a story throughout the entire concert. So it's not just about sitting down and listening music, but actually it's really about storytelling. It's really about coming together as a community. And that's something you can expect from all of these concerts.
How do folks get tickets for the festival?
You can get tickets by visiting our website, which is boisebaroque.org, Baroque being BAROQUE.org.
Well, I want to thank you all so very much. I'm so sorry we ran out of time. I've really enjoyed the conversation. We've been talking with Boise Baroque Orchestra Interim Artistic Director Daniel Wiley, Concert Master Don Dotha-Wagster, and Orchestra Executive Director Logan Anderson about their summer festival. It kicks off this Saturday and it runs all the way through September 6th. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Idaho Matters. And for quick news of the day, start your mornings with our podcast. It's called The Connector, Idaho Daily News. And text this podcast to a friend. It's how podcasts grow.
The fatal shooting of a teenager at a protest in Seattle has gone unsolved for 6 years.
This is open in your face. How are there no answers?
Our investigation has uncovered new evidence and witnesses who say they've never talked to police.
Did police ever call you? Not once.
Listen to We Keep Us Safe, a new true crime series on the Embedded podcast from NPR.